This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. It's Monday. We are back on our regular schedule. I can't even say it there.
But we're back on
But with John Brummett from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Right.
Good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Good to be here on a Monday.
Well,
So
I'd be happy to come on Tuesdays or any other day, whenever you need my wit and wisdom, such as it is.
All right, we're going to start first. We're going to go national first. Okay?
Oh, are we?
Yeah,
Okay.
we are. We're going to go national first. I'm going to ask you, we're just past the 100-day mark on the Trump presidency, and I'm going to read you 3 quotes from Trump. I want you to tell me which one is the one that most sums up the 100 days of Trump.
In my opinion.
In your opinion.
Okay.
All right, number 1. Making business decisions and buying buildings don't involve heart. This involves heart. They are heavy decisions. Quote number 1. Number 2, I thought it would be easier. Quote number 3, I think we've done more than perhaps any president in the first 100 days. I'd give us an A. Which one's the most Trumpian of the Trump quotes there?
The Trumpian is the third one. Give himself an A. He is a very generous grader of himself. He's very high on himself even when others aren't. His classic quote on the 100 days was, "This is the most absurd standard that could be applied." But oh, by the way, we've had the greatest 100 days in the history of 100-day measurements.
Not to mention all through the campaign and through the transition and his first 100 days, he's talked about he's going to have the best 100 days.
Well, 100 days, but before that, initially, within the first few hours, we're going to do a lot of things which didn't get done. So that's the one that's the most Trumpian. I've already forgotten the other 2, but they were both accurate and reflective. Basically, they had to do with building buildings and doing those business deals that didn't require heart. And see, I think that, what was the second one? It was simpler.
I thought it would be easier.
Yeah, I think that synopsizes it. Healthcare. Who knew that would be complicated? Tax reform.
Everyone except Trump, apparently.
The wall. I thought we'd just build the darn thing, you know. Now, so I think that he thought it would be easier if he thought about it at all. It's not easy. It's that's why it's an important job. Being leader of the world, holding the most powerful office in the world, is not, by definition, an easy thing that just anybody could hop up and do.
Yeah, I think Chris Ruddy with Newsmax, who's one of his close confidants, hangs out with him at Mar-a-Lago, was asked, what do you think Trump's learned in his first 100 days? And he said that Congress exists.
Right. Congress exists.
I can't just do it.
And the Washington culture exists, which was the big thing that when I did a book about Bill Clinton's first year, he said, man, there are cultural cues in this place that I just didn't know. And he'd gone to school at Georgetown. He was a creature of politics, and it was tough on him. So it's certainly something for a guy like Trump to discover.
Yeah. Were you at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, or were you at the not-so-White House Correspondents'
I didn't go
dinner?
to either one, and I'd forgotten both
watch
those.
either one of them?
No, I have better things to do. I've always been offended by that whole thing. The idea of coziness between the journalists and the news makers, and this sort of a nerd's prom where your big-time journalist or media organizations would bring in celebrities, and it was like the Oscars of the nerds' Oscars. I just found it silly, ridiculous. And the idea of a comedian standing up next to the president. You didn't ask me to go off on this tangent.
That's all right.
Making jokes, just a bad idea, I think. I hope both those, the old institution and the new counter one, I hope both go away.
Because that's different than a roast and toast where you might get to roast a politician.
No, that's different, because if I get a chance to make fun of somebody and get a hostage audience, that's excellent. That's good.
That's good.
Don't you understand? You see the difference? Okay.
Sure, it's clear as mud to me.
Right. Don't start trying to apply consistency to me. It never applied to anybody else. Why would you start with me?
Oh, my goodness. You're in rare form today.
Okay.
All right, last question for you at the national level. We seem to be getting mixed messages on health care reform.
No kidding.
We hear from conservatives and moderates in the House that this is what's in the plan and the compromise. We hear from the president, no, none of that stuff's accurate. This is the way it's going to be. Who should we trust?
I don't have any idea who currently in Washington we should trust, but I think we have now seen twice that the Republicans lack an ability to achieve anything that they can agree on and pass. They cannot square the moderates who believe in health care services with the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Party people who want to blow up all of Obamacare and go totally to market-based system. And it's just like a seesaw. You please one, you lose the other. One goes up, the other goes down. And so they failed the first time when they tried to put it on the fast track and pass it. Then apparently Priebus, the secretary, the chief of staff, his plan, his job the last 10 days until last Friday was to get something passed so that Trump could say he had an actual legislative accomplishment within or on his 100th day, anything. And so he made a concession to the Freedom Caucus, the right wing, and it didn't pass. I think what we're learning is any solution is going to be longer term, based on hearings, and include Democrats. That's what I think we're learning.
That's not there yet. I had Congressman Womack on the show this week and asked him specifically about compromising, working in bipartisan fashion, and he said, I don't think it can happen.
Well, did you say, Steve, how are we doing so far by not doing that?
Right.
I mean,
it's just 100 days, John. It's just 100 days.
Okay,
so and got to give about 200 before they work their way back. So
all right.
Let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and talk some state politics with
Great.
John Brummett right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
And welcome back to Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm with John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Let's turn our attention to state politics.
All right.
The governor announces on Friday that this fiscal year we will have a $70 million shortfall in our budget. It's all going to come out of revenue, Category B spending right there. Are you surprised that with all the tax cuts we've done in the last 2 years that we're going to have a shortfall this year?
No, two things are happening, I think, to the state budget. One is that income tax, we're cutting income taxes incrementally, just a fraction every year. And we're doing this for this supposed purpose of becoming a good jobs magnet, as Charlie Collins says. But a fractional decrease in your income tax rate is not going to become a good jobs magnet. Maybe a full elimination of the income tax, as in some of our surrounding states would.
Unemployment's at 3.6% right now. How much more jobs magnet do we need to be?
Good jobs magnet,
Okay.
better jobs magnet. So we're collecting less, incrementally less in income taxes, but we're not having the good jobs explosion that Charlie Collins promises because we still have an income tax. So it's just a net loss to the Treasury. The other is a lot of people do what I do. Do you know how I shop anymore? And I'm going to admit this. Because I hate getting up and getting out and going, and I've always have hated going to stores.
You're a hermit. You've become a hermit.
No, I've not become a hermit. I'm out here every Monday talking to your
to me
and legions of people. And I was out over the weekend working. But I've got an Amazon app on the phone, and if I want something and need it, they got all my stuff. I just tell them what it is, and it's coming. And Amazon's going to start collecting sales taxes, or maybe has. Who knows?
It began March 1st, so it is in the April report.
But the growth in online shopping without the sales tax collections on companies that didn't have a nexus or a presence in the state, that's my habits, as reflected in the fact that I'm not totally a weirdo. Others do the same thing. Those two things have what surprised me is that Ace Hutchinson said between now and June 30th. We're going to cut $70 million from the budget. Well, you're not going to really notice it. Well, it's not going to hurt anybody. We're going
no layoffs.
Nobody's going to lose
cut.
a job, and no services are going to be cut, which is kind of magic, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't crawled through Category B funding yet.
I think most of it is in human services, and I suspect those kinds of payments can be delayed, maybe in some cases, or you can manage them maybe. You know, and the state budget is $5+ billion, and it turns out you can cut 70 million between now and the end of June, and it's not that big a deal, or any deal at all, to hear them tell it.
The legislature is in town. They will sine-die today, turn right back around and go into a special session to largely focus on health care reform, implement some of the governor's waivers that he's requested from the federal government, do something with the health insurance marketplace to set it up for the long term. Do you anticipate any detours?
No.
Anything that falls off the winding road there? Is this just a straight shot? We're here for 3 days, done.
I think it's quick and easy. This is merely on the Medicaid changes. These are merely authorizing proposals in order for us to seek, for the Hutch administration to seek waivers. We can't seek the waiver until we've got something for the federal government to consider being waived to. So, and they're controversial proposals. We're going to throw up to 60,000 people off of Medicaid expansion and put them on the health care. We're just going to pawn them off on the federal exchanges when we may not have federal exchanges, depending on what they do in Congress. We're going to require work by Medicaid recipients, which has never been required before, for reasons that you could argue with, but which existed. But there aren't enough Democrats who are worried about that to make. These are simple majority vote issues. There's no 3/4 appropriations required. And it doesn't affect anybody yet. It depends on a waiver. And it depends on a waiver that we're almost certain to get, depending on what kind of health care system this new Congress is going to give us. So all this is being done in kind of an easy environment. And I think it's just wham, bam, 3 days and over.
All right, last question for you. Arkansas wrapped up 2 weeks worth of execution drama on Thursday night of last week. There are differing accounts of what happened with the inmate, Kenneth Williams, in terms of how his body reacted to the drugs there. A federal judge has called for preservation of the evidence from an autopsy, but there is still no investigation at this time. The governor says he doesn't think an investigation is warranted. Do you think that pressure begins to apply to where there will have to be an investigation at some point in time, or do you think the state of Arkansas is able to navigate around that?
I think if a federal judge is calling, as she is, Judge Baker is calling for a preservation of evidence, and we see how easy federal court motions can be filed, I think the state's going to have to deal with this. This is, well, I'm not going to go into another carrying on about the death penalty, but something happened when Kenneth Williams was being executed and the drapes were open. Something happened, and people in a witness room saw it, and we cannot agree on what happened. People are not looking anymore, if they ever did, with their eyes. They're looking with their preconceptions. Conservative Republican Senator Trent Gardner said it was an uneventful, nothing happened. Death penalty opponents looked at it and saw a man convulsing and gasping and moaning, and it was just horrendous. Both can't be true. Something happened.
I think at the heart of that, though, is, was he in pain? That is the question that's being asked, and that's a medical opinion that has to be rendered. Witnesses in a room can't.
No, but you can agree on what you see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you saw. And in fact, in this case,
the state of Arkansas even admitted to the media before the media witnesses came back that for 10 seconds he convulsed, that he shook. So I don't think there's going to be any discrepancy that something happened, that there was some sort of tremor or event. Or
well, I think we know that. It's just that people tend to interpret it in different ways. The governor's office called it flawless right after, didn't they? Right after they said he convulsed.
If it was on that particular
No, I believe the governor's
so.
routine. Are nothing to investigate, said J.R. Davis. There is something to investigate. Dang straight there is.
We'll see if it happens.
And
where's that pressure going to come from, though? Because it's not going to come from a Republican legislature and a Republican
anti-death
governor
penalty
at this point
groups
in time,
and the judicial system, most likely. Because the state is just prepared to say, well, he convulsed, he may have moaned, but no big deal.
We'll see what happens. He's John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You can read him in the newspaper 3 days a week, online a fourth day.
Very good.
And online every day.
Yeah.
If you want to.
If you want to go to Twitter, you can really see some stuff.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. That's all for the program. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.